She was the only woman held at Alcatraz prison, and what she did to get there was pure evil. In the late 1800s, there was a strange little plant shop tucked between two crumbling storefronts in Tampa, Florida. Locals called the owner the Plant Lady. Her real name was Summer Camp. She wore wide-brimmed hats, spoke in whispers, and had a way of looking through people rather than at them. Her shop smelled like damp moss and something else, something metallic and sour. People said her plants grew too fast, too big, and too hungry. They weren't wrong. Back then, Tampa was a humid, mosquito-ridden port town, crawling with sailors, drifters, and tourists chasing the promise of sunshine and citrus. The city was expanding, but its underbelly was rotting. People went missing, mostly transient, mostly forgotten. Police chalked it up to swamp accidents, bar fights, or runaways, but there was a pattern. Every disappearance seemed to trace back to one place: Summer Camp's plant shop. She was unlike anyone Tampa had seen. Tall, willowy, with porcelain skin and jet black hair that fell in loose waves to her hips. Her eyes were deep, mossy, unsettling, unreadable. She wore long gloves, even in the heat, and her voice was soft, almost melodic, like wind through cattails. People said she moved like it was underwater. She didn't smile often, and when she did, it felt rehearsed. Summer came from Georgia, the only child of Dr. Thaddeus Camp, a reclusive botanist known for his work in experimental horticulture. He lived on the edge of the Okefenokee Swamp in a decaying manor surrounded by greenhouses. His obsession was carnivorous plants, not just studying them, but altering them. He believed they could be taught to recognize scent, respond to emotion, even develop memory. His journal spoke of neurological grafting and sentient root systems. He was dismissed by the scientific community as a madman. But he was brilliant, and he taught Summer everything. By age 6, she could identify over 300 plant species by touch alone. By 10, she was grafting hybrids that pulsed when handled. Her father gave her a locked cedar box labeled specimens. Inside were seeds, spores, and tissue samples from his most secret experiments. He told her to never open it until she was ready to raise something that listens. When he died, some say by poisoning, others claim the plants took him, Summer inherited his estate and the box. She left Georgia quietly and arrived in Tampa with little more than a trunk, a ledger, and a vision. She opened a plant shop tucked between a pawn shop and a bakery in Boer City. The windows were always fogged, and the air inside was thick with humidity and something else, something sweet and metallic. She sold rare orchids, pitcher plants, and terrariums that seemed to breathe. But her pride was a towering Venus flytrap she kept in the back room. She called it Baby. Baby was unlike any known species. Its jaws were wide enough to cradle a watermelon, and its leaves twitched when people spoke nearby. Summer claimed she grew it from the specimens in her father's box. She fed it daily, raw meat, eggs, and a mineral blend she mixed by hand. She sang to it in Latin. She said Baby responded to kindness. She said it was her child. And in Tampa, no one dared to ask questions. Then came the rumors. It started with a sailor named Thomas Greaves. He wandered into the shop looking for a gift. He never came out. A week later, a local boy swore he saw Summer dragging a blood-soaked tarp toward the greenhouse. Police investigated but found nothing, just plants, soil, and Summer's eerie smile. Over the next year, 25 people vanished. Tourists, vagrants, even a priest. One survivor, an escaped drifter named Eli, claimed Summer lured him with tea and stories, then tried to feed him to the plant. He said Baby's jaws snapped inches from his face. He ran barefoot through glass and thorns to escape. That was enough. Summer Camp was arrested in 1899. She confessed to everything. She said Baby was hungry. She said the victims volunteered. She said the plant whispered to her at night. Alcatraz prison, located on a jagged island in San Francisco Bay, was built to hold the worst criminals in America. Murderers, mobsters, traitors. It was a cold, isolated, and escape-proof. The prison opened officially in 1934, but before that, it served as a military prison. Summer Camp was sent there in 1900, making her the only woman ever held on the island. She was kept in a solitary cell in the old military wing. She spent her days drawing plants on the walls with charcoal and whispering to herself. One guard claimed her cell smelled like mulch and decay, even though no plants were allowed inside. Her presence was considered a threat, not just to safety, but to sanity. Yet within weeks, guards reported strange growths, moss creeping along the floor, vines curling from cracks in the concrete. The warden ordered the cell scrubbed daily, but the greenery always returned. Summer never spoke during inspections. She simply stared, hands folded, lips moving in silence. She requested soil instead of food. When denied, she refused to eat for days. Eventually, she was given a small pot of dirt. Within it, she coaxed a sprout, red-veined, twitching, unnatural. Guards swore it pulsed when they entered. One officer claimed it whispered his name. They took it away. She screamed for 3 days. Other inmates began to suffer. Nightmares spread like contagion. Visions of choking, vines, teeth in the walls, and a woman singing in Latin. One prisoner gouged out his own eyes, saying he saw roots growing from his skull. Another tried to dig through his cell floor with bare hands, convinced something was calling him from below. Summer remained calm. She drew plants on her walls with charcoal. She hummed lullabies to the sprout. She called it baby, just like the one she had left behind. Experts later debated whether Summer Camp was insane or simply evil. Her obsession with carnivorous plants bordered on religious. She believed baby was divine. She saw herself as a priestess, feeding the unworthy to the roots. Her victims weren't random. Many were men with criminal records, drunks, or those she deemed rotten. She believed she was purifying Tampa, one body at a time. Her trial was brief. Her confession was detailed, disturbing, and unapologetic. She described the sound baby made when it chewed. She described the way blood made the leaves glisten. She smiled through it all. So was baby real? Botanists have long debated the existence of a 30-foot Venus flytrap. No known species grows that large. Some believe Summer genetically modified the plant using early grafting techniques. Others think it was a hoax, a metaphor for her own appetite. But Eli's scars were real, and the greenhouse was destroyed after her arrest. Witnesses said the plant screamed when it burned. Summer Camp died in Alcatraz in 1913. Cause of death unknown. Her body was found surrounded by vines that had broken through the concrete. No one claimed her remains. Her cell was sealed and later flooded during renovations. No one ever entered it again. Some say her spirit still haunts the island. Tour guides report cold spots near her cell. Visitors claim to hear whispers about feeding time. One tourist swore she saw a woman in a wide-brimmed hat walking through the fog. Summer Camp's tale is more than a creepy legend. It's a reminder of how evil can hide in plain sight. She wasn't a monster in the woods. She was a shopkeeper, a neighbor, a quiet woman with a green thumb. Some say her greenhouse was rebuilt in secret. Some say baby still lives, fed by those who believe in Summer's gospel. Whether myth or true, one thing is certain. Summer Camp was unlike any criminal in history, and Alcatraz, the rock built to hold monsters, was barely strong enough to contain her.